There was a time when video games were treated like toys, something you'd grow out of. But here's the thing, they grew up right alongside us. They stopped being just about high scores and power-ups, and started telling stories about love, loss, identity, and the human experience. Everything I lack because I'm dead inside. Somehow people still love to say you're too old for gaming, or games are for kids. So today I want to break down where that myth came from, why it stuck around, and more importantly, why it's completely wrong. It was born out of the 1980s marketing, the toy industry, cultural bias, and probably one too many parents
who thought Pac-Man was the devil where the ghosts of history's past come back to haunt him.
Back when consoles like the NES hit the US market, companies like Nintendo were basically shouting, "This is for children, please buy at Toys R Us before it goes bankrupt." Since it was mainly parents that were buying the games for the kids, adults in the 80s and 90s saw this as a temporary phase, like playing with toys or actually believing you were gonna grow up to be cool. The idea that adults could play video games wasn't even on the radar yet. For years, pop culture doubled down on that image. Shows like Captain N the Game Master or the Legend of Zelda cartoon painted gaming as strictly kid territory. And yes, to this day, I think the Legend of Zelda cartoon is the best version of Link.
Looking good, princess. Especially from this angle.
This is a children's show. By the late 90s and early 2000s, games started to grow up. Consoles like the PlayStation brought more mature stories into the mix. But the games are for kids stigma hung around in the public consciousness like that one guy at a party who doesn't realize everyone has already left. The idea that video games are just for kids starts to fall apart as soon as you take a look at the different kinds of stories that they've been telling for decades now. Let's take Mass Effect as an example of being a mature game. You're shaping politics, relationships, morality, even the survival of civilizations. Oh, and you can romance aliens. What's more adult than that? Even Wind Waker, the cartoony Zelda game, hides one of the saddest and most beautiful stories in the series. And don't get me started on games like Stellar Blade. That game was not designed with children in mind. It was designed for me and other men of culture. The same goes for most JRPGs. Seriously though, these games are fun and deep. That is, if you're able to spend your life away. And let's not forget, the ESRB rating system exists because video games stopped being considered toys, and they started including things, well, children shouldn't see. The whole Mortal Kombat and Night Trap controversy in the early 90s actually dragged video game violence into Congress. That's right, politicians debated about fatalities and digitized vampires. Meanwhile, no one had to testify in Congress about that one time Tickle Me Elmo threatened a child.
Yeah, James?
Now, if you're into numbers like I'm not, the 2024 Essential Facts about the US video game industry reports a whopping 190.6 million Americans ages 5 to 90 play video games. That's 61% of the entire US population logging on at least an hour a week. Rookie numbers, I know. Personally, I log an hour just trying to figure out what game I actually feel like playing before giving up and going back to Xenoblade Chronicles, since they're the only games I own at the moment because I failed grad school and had to pay for a student loan. Back in 2004, the average gamer was 29 years old. Today, that number is 36, which unfortunately I don't meet. So either I'm statistically irrelevant or just another guy trying to stay up till 11 p.m. So no, video games aren't something you outgrow, they just keep growing with you. They've gone from little 8-bit plumbers bonking their heads on blocks to sweeping stories about grief, identity, war, love, and survival. So the next time someone tells you to grow up and stop playing video games, just remember, they're probably doom scrolling up until 3 a.m. So I wouldn't take life advice from them. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out this video right here about how I fell out of love of gaming. And I'll see you in that video.
Yeah.